Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Tuesday, October 1st edition of the Daily Pulse, the show that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. And today we're gonna do a follow-up here, kind of a 3-month, shall we say, follow-up on what's going on at the Smith Baker Center. You remember that building? At one point, it was front and center in the news headlines. You couldn't have a city council meeting without discussion about the Smith Baker Center. Got a little quiet, taking a back seat, gone on the back burner for a little bit, but things are starting to heat up. And as such, we've got our friends in here from the Lowell Center for the Arts, the organization that is attempting to save the Smith Baker Center, repurpose it, and turn it into a viable, dare I say, sustainable facility that will benefit the city as well. Yeah, they most certainly did. Let's introduce them to you. They were with us last on June 23rd. Dennis McCarthy, who you may realize, you become a regular at city council meetings. You and your daughter, Michaela, between here and the council meeting, and then you.
I know. I have two others, a daughter and a son, and a wife. We have to get them engaged because we're a full team here.
A lot of votes in the McCarthy family. City councilors may want to pay attention with the election just a couple of weeks. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Chris McCarron is with us as well. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Look, you're smiling. You must have some good news to share.
We have a lot of good news.
That's what I want to hear.
But introduce Owen first.
Owen Kelly is joining us as well. You're kind of the, dare I say, the artistic brains behind the proposal here?
Yeah, I'd say a piece of it. Yeah, definitely. More on the organizational side of things. So kind of thinking operations-wise of how we're going to turn this vision into reality.
All right, awesome. So, and there is a lot to talk about, as we've been discussing before I hit the record button. Even though you've kind of been on the back burner of the public consciousness, you've been hard at work, and we got some interesting info we want to reveal today as well. So we're going to get right to that with our guests first. Let me thank my Daily Pulse sponsors. Ray Booten, of course, he is a licensed realtor in Mass and New Hampshire, a certified appraiser in both states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, you need to find Ray today. And you can do so easily enough online, realestaterayBooten.com. That's realestaterayBooten.com. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint for hosting us here in the WellPoint studios. It's the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members at WellPoint. Your whole health is their whole point. And we thank WellPoint, we thank Ray, we'll thank our other sponsors, but let's get right to it with my guests today. All right, June 23rd, you were here. You were, at the time, you had literally walked into this office right after touring the building. It was part of the kind of city's bid process. There was one other entity that took the tour with you that day. Unfortunately, they did not find what they were looking for, and ultimately you turned out to be the only bidders for the Smith Baker Center.
Correct.
Your proposal was, I want to be careful with my language here, but I also want to let folks know, has it been accepted? Have you guys been accepted as the only entity that is willing to step forward and try to save that beautiful facility?
Yeah, so when we submitted it, they checked everything. Yes, we had everything they needed. Where we're at right now is that we have to sign a land distribution agreement with the city. So the attorneys have been doing their attorney thing. Nothing against attorneys, but when you pay people by the hour, there's just not a lot of reason to rush. So we're ready, like Owen's poised with his pen, ready to sign this document. But and we hope and expect that could even happen this week.
Okay. So, all right. So you believe that you might have something signed this week?
And then it goes to city council, and then they are the final stamp.
Okay, because there's been some speculation that since the bid process opened up and the bids were due 3 months ago, that well, look, there's nothing going on. We told you so. Nothing's going to come of this when all is said and done. That's not the case, is it?
Not at all. No. My mom has an expression: hide and watch. So you don't think we can do this thing? Hide and watch, because it is happening. Yeah. And it's happening on an even more exciting and bigger scale than we originally kind of were hoping. So, but I don't want to, I don't want to ruin the excitement for everybody. We'll keep that cliffhanger going right up to the last minute.
And I think we were trying to give the city plenty of room with the front runner city status, and to have that front before we show up and start to have our show. So now that that's been kind of taken its course and we have that locked in. Now it's our turn.
Okay, great. So you hope if all goes well, you'll have an agreement signed, which means you will have that all important control of the building. Is that?
Oh, don't get ahead of yourself. When again, when you're dealing with municipalities, we know what we want, and if it was up to us, we would have had it 3 months ago. But things take time, right? Things have to move the way they're going to move, and so once we sign that land distribution agreement, then we have a 30-day, or we actually have up to 90 days due diligence period for us to get into the building, bring in some experts, make sure that everything is the way we expected. And we're hoping to get that done in 30 days. So if we have anything to say about it, right, we'll be closed on the building. We'll have the keys in our hand by December 1st.
Okay.
And it's land deposition agreement, I think.
Oh, I call it land disposition.
I think it's land deposition. Oh,
Disposition.
disposition. Sorry.
So let me back up on that for a quick second here. So you will have an agreement to go in and do due diligence.
It's like if you're familiar with the purchasing of real estate, normally this is replacing a typical purchase and sale agreement. So that gives you, I guess, what do you call I'm forgetting the phrase, but yeah. So we basically own it, but we haven't finalized everything. So the actual title would change hands at the end of that due diligence period.
So what needs to happen? I'm going to guess the first thing is money.
We have the money already to buy the building from the city. That piece is easy because the purchase price was $470, and we already had that.
So that money is in place. You will be able to close the deal. But as part of the bid process, there were certain requirements that needed to be placed on whoever bought the building and took control of it, that they would have to shore it up, the roof, falling slate, this kind of stuff. Where are we on that? Are you prepared if everything goes as planned over the next 30 some odd days?
You're trying to get right to the funding, aren't you?
So it's a two-piece. So we have 6 months to stabilize the structure, and that is making sure that there's nothing falling anymore, and it's secure. The windows are secure. The entrances are secure. So that's a 6-month stabilization, and then there's a second piece that is 6 months to do documentation and permitting with the city. So we have that. We have subcontractors ready to take care of the stabilization. We're hoping that we're going to be able to do the stabilization when the weather's still relatively good, and that we're not going to be pushed into doing the stabilization in January and February when we're going to be fighting winter.
All right, so that I was going to ask the 6 months. So
that's after
when?
after we take possession.
Right.
So if it starts December 1st, then that's when that.
So you'll have 6 months to do the stabilization itself. Okay, so that gives you time, because anyone who's done construction or whatever knows in the winter a lot of that stuff freezes. But did I hear you say, Dennis, that you're hoping to do that faster than the 6 months?
So we have a structural engineer ready to go in the building. This is Structures North, a structural engineer that's very familiar with the city and has helped several buildings in the city. Leo Montoya's project on Summer Street, the old Elliott Church School building, Merrill Cutler building just as a Smith Baker. So they're ready to go in and do the structural review on the roof. We need that first in the due diligence, and if we close, we can then and fix whatever they find. We can get the roofing going in December. That would be lovely.
Okay, so back in June when we chatted, you had toured the building. You had said it was in better shape than you anticipated, but you put the caveat out there that you hadn't gotten behind certain walls or things, and the roof as well. So is there a chance that when you get in there, you find something that suddenly makes the deal not feasible anymore? Do you have any concern about that?
There's always a chance, but it's a small one because these buildings are built so well. We think that it'll be similar to what Leo Montoya had over there on Summer Street, that the structure is the large, heavy timbers, and they will be able to have withstood the water infiltration that's been happening in that building for the last 15 years.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going back to money because I know Chris loves that conversation. But so we've got a timetable in place. You believe it?
Yeah.
Engineers, contractors, everybody is on hand.
Yeah.
So that tells me you have more money
We have
lined up or committed to this project once you finally have control of the building. Is that accurate, and is that coming in the form of a benefactor, an angel investor like they were lucky enough to have out at the 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 Center and that old church on Merrimack Street? Is it? I assume you're going to need a lender. Do we have all this in place?
We do, actually.
Yeah.
You do.
We do.
That's going to come as a surprise to a lot of folks.
I'm
That
sure
there's
it
no
is.
way they're going to get the money.
Exactly.
And by the way, I was one of those people before I talked to you on June 25th.
Hide and watch, Danny. Hide and watch, because it's happening. Yeah.
You have a lender committed.
Not only that, so we thought, wouldn't it be swell if we, instead of taking all the money that we have to buy the building, which is not all the money, but instead of taking our money to buy the building, wouldn't it be cool if we could get a mortgage to pay the city the $470? So actually, Paul Rotherham put us in touch with somebody who he thought might be creative enough and kind of, savvy enough to be able to do that, a lender. And we talked with them and we thought, yeah, wouldn't it be great to get $500,000 from these guys? But they said, well, why do we want to give you, $500,000 and then sit there and wait for the building to be done, in 100 years when you get enough grants and stuff. So they said, why don't we just fund the whole project? And then, we'll take the tax credits. We'll take some of the stuff. They were very creative in their financing. And we said, if you insist on giving us $17 million, okay, we'll take it.
So
What are you going to say?
Okay, so this is big news. You have the financing in place, and not just to purchase it, but to go through with the business model as you have proposed. And we'll talk about the business model in a few minutes as well. That's big news. I imagine that was an exciting milestone for you guys, because there was doubt that you could get to that point.
Right.
We never doubted it.
Yeah.
But we know the public doubted it.
This is such a spectacular building. It's such a spectacular location. It's such a spectacular idea to restore this. It attracts people. It really does. It really does.
Okay. The journalist in me has to ask. I don't know if you're at liberty to say so or not yet. Who is the lender? Who is willing to go out and take that quote unquote risk that every lending project involves?
Why don't we come back in like a month?
Yeah. We're working with their team so we can have a nice coordinated announcement and launch of that funding. So once we can really publicly talk about it, I think it'd be a good time to come back.
But you have an agreement in place with you have some.
Yeah.
And we could give InsideLowell the scoop.
Okay, I'm more than happy to take it. Look, this is a big deal. I know from my experience that risky projects, getting lenders to actually come in and take that risk, it requires some finagling, but it's some faith, but it requires them willing to take a little bit of a risk as well. So that's definitely big news. So you probably worked out numbers and stuff with them, I'm assuming, your projected costs and whatnot for your business model.
Yeah.
What could go wrong other than getting in there and structurally finding that you find something that you didn't anticipate? Is there anything else at this point that could go wrong in terms of the financing?
I mean, I suppose that the people that are so excited about the project at the bank could all quit, or be fired or something, or
Get the signature on the paper before
before they leave town. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but they've done their research. We've done our research. They, when we came together, they asked the questions that we felt should be asked. They're really creative and super team. And I mean, there's always something that can go wrong, but.
Sean Machado and Tom Golden are in charge of keeping the building secure, and they've done a great job. I've been going by regularly to
Do you have a key? Do they give you a key to it?
to make sure that no one's getting in to damage anything and cause any destruction.
Okay.
And so far, so good. Taking down those trees along the side of the building, I think, was a big step forward to make that building more visible so that people can get in. People getting in and doing some damage or worse was probably the biggest hurdle that we had to solve.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I think we have.
So this also tells me, if you've kind of got an agreement in place, that you either have already secured whatever additional down payment you might need, or whoever you know where the investment's going to come from beyond the 400,000 plus to sign the original deal with the city. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. It's going to be less money out of our pocket than it would be if we just wrote a check to the city. So we're
because of the fact that
Because
this institution is willing to ask for less than they could have asked for.
Yeah.
In terms of
yeah, I mean,
owner
what,
equity.
putting like 10% down or something crazy? Yeah, it's great.
you got a deal with just 10% down.
Hey.
All right, good. So there are probably developers in the city salivating to know right now who is going to be this person. By the way, I'm number one on the list. So when the microphone goes off, I'm gonna find out and put that number on there. But that's fantastic news. So obviously you've proposed to them the business model for how you're going to make those monthly mortgage payments that I assume will be sizable, right? What are we talking about for the total investment here? Getting the building, renovating it, and then, keeping it going with your business model. What's the project development cost for you folks?
So we're talking about 17 million, and that
That's
includes
cheaper than was being discussed back when it was a coalition for a better acre potential, right?
Yeah.
Business model plan here.
Yeah, 17 is kind of that's including a 15% contingency as
Yep.
well. It was after those couple tours we had and spending time in the space, and I think those big numbers, the 35, the 40 million that were getting thrown around, were complete speculation. It was coming from folks who hadn't been in the building, people just assuming, oh, this is going to be impossible and expensive.
People looking for a reason to say no.
Yeah.
Well, but not only that. I mean, they said when CBA was looking at the building, they came up with like 16 million, and they said, "Oh, we're going to have to double that." So I think that's where a lot of those numbers came from. Let's just double it. Well, okay, but is that really what needs to be done at this point? Maybe, but that's not what just to clarify. And Dennis, you should probably speak to this. When we went into the building, the last thing we need to do is to get inside the roof because they didn't have the key to allow us to get up there. But when we went in there, we brought contractors with us. We brought a bunch of professionals with us. So,
Right. Two things. We're keeping the program very close to what the building currently has. So we're not reinventing a lot inside the building, other than a large toilet core, which it doesn't have, an ADA accessible elevator, which it doesn't have, and certainly new HVAC and electrical, right, and plumbing. But the building itself, the window structure, the facade, that's staying intact, although we do have an idea of a roof garden territory. Anyway, most of it is staying intact, right? And so we got quotes to do the masonry, to fix the masonry that was listed to be subject to be needing fixed according to the 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 report, which is a great report. We're grateful to the city for having that done. Under $100,000. It's not 500,000 number that the 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 report had put in as an estimate. Okay, so when we had contractors, and we had more than one contractor give us reports. So that's why I think the numbers have come down a little bit, is because we actually have some reality from these contractors.
The 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 report was probably figuring what it would cost the government to rehab a building. We know that price tag is usually much higher than a private entity. All right, exciting stuff indeed. We're going to talk a little bit about the business model and some fundraising that you do still need to do with Dennis McCarthy, Chris McCarron, Owen Kelly. They are from the Lowell Center for the Arts. And we're going to talk a little bit more about arts. We're going to drag Owen into this conversation a little more. Let me just first thank our Daily Pulse sponsors, Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both states as well. Find them online, realestaterayBooten.com. Thanks as well to WellPoint at WellPoint. Your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that feels like home. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, TMI Cares, developing and managing their own properties for over 30 years. Experience the quality, the value, and the care of making TMI the choice for your home. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to generations of families in Greater Lowell since 1925. The Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life through strategic, impactful philanthropy. And by Francis E. Prevention Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell is counted on to protect its most valuable assets since 1982. We continue our discussion with our guests here from the Lowell Center for the Arts and the Smith Baker. You're still going to have to work that name in there somehow, right? The Smith Baker. The name of the building will still stay as the Smith Baker Center, or will it change to the Lowell Center for the Arts at Smith Baker Center, or something to that effect?
Something to that effect. I think it's still a discussion we still have, and something we're gonna solidify, and talking about naming rights opportunities, and if other investors are interested, and we have naming rights opportunities available. So it's something that we can discuss.
Always get those big sponsors in there.
We can be bought. Let's put it
and the bidding is beginning on that as well. All right, so let's talk about this business model, because whether it's 20 million, 30 million, or 17 million, that's a big nut to pay every single month. You need to have a business model that's going to generate that kind of revenue, or you're going to have to go begging for money for eternity. Let's talk about that business model. As I remember it from our June 23rd discussion, it involved community space, little smaller type offices, right, where people can come in and use, not maybe full time, but kind of rent them, lease them as they go. You had talked about some food cafe type component to it. Dennis just let slip roof deck, which I don't believe was discussed on June 23rd. Let's hear it. What is the business plan? If/when you are successful, what will be going on in the Smith Baker Center?
So I'd say first thing, that 17 million is definitely a big chunk of change to be paying back. So we've been working on this side of things to really leverage historic tax credits, new market tax credits, and just community benefit as a leverage tool to be paying these loans back. So a big chunk of that is going to be our kind of strategic moves to set up this organization in a way that we can do that. So that takes care of a big piece of that funding. As far as the business itself, kind of the grand vision right now still kind of stands with our main 600-seat concert hall, performing arts center piece of it, with music and art school, classrooms, things like that. And then, like you said, the co-working spaces. We have our some sort of restaurant space that is still in discussion. We've been working with Foundation Kitchen to talk about maybe having them come in. It's a commercial kitchen program that works in the community to give restaurateurs, food entrepreneurs a space to develop their business. So that's another piece of it. We have the co-working spaces, and then, like Dennis said, the potential for some rooftop spaces, a potential green space, as well as like a rooftop kind of lounge area as well.
You mentioned Foundation Kitchen. What's that model like?
So we met with 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲. Karen. He's from Ireland. He's got this pronunciation that I'm not getting right. I should be. So he has a 6,000 square foot facility that is quite nice in Charlestown. And what that does is it really kind of focuses on startup immigrant owned food businesses. And they have in that facility 50 different food businesses utilizing their shared 4,000 square foot kitchen space.
24/7.
24/7, 365. Yeah. Yep. And then they have a lovely restaurant idea on the main level where they have a long bar that's used in the daytime for sandwiches and coffee, and then in the evening it converts to a wine bar, and then 3 different restaurant pieces that all share a same seating area. And they have great chefs. They have award-winning chefs there right now. It's such a great venue, and they have music. Karen and his wife, and his wife, both are performers. He started the Three Tenors, the Irish Three Tenors.
Oh yeah.
And his wife is a phenomenal performer too, and so they love music. but they love the idea of a performing arts space too.
So, some kind of a performing arts space with a food court, but you say wine bar, so upscale food court. We're not talking Arby's and Panda Express. No,
Yeah.
no disrespect to those fine businesses who, if you want to sponsor Inside Lowell, I'm more than happy to talk about your wonderful offerings. But this is more a food and drink offering that would be in line with the Performing Arts Center.
Well, and also in line with Lowell. I mean, we have so many different cultures here, so many different types of food, and this is happening in the Foundation Kitchen. It's what we sort of envisioned here as well, that you've got somebody who's preparing Cambodian food here and someone next to them who's preparing Greek food, and they're like, wow, what is that spice you're using? And, like there's some synergy, there's some overlap, there's some, people are being influenced by each other and they're getting to know each other, and, it's bringing down walls that, right, we're very siloed in Lowell. This community stays with this community, and this is an opportunity for them to come together and to, if nothing else, get to know each other and share things. One of the things that Karen said was, when it's a new person who's just opening up and they're working next to someone who's experienced, I mean, just by osmosis, they're starting to pick up some of the skills and, right, some of the important things that you need to be a successful food vendor.
Sure. And going back to the kind of the other office space, the commercial space, I remember from our conversation in June, you've already got something like this. Because you're not reinventing the wheel here. You're basically copying something that has worked for you personally in Tingsboro, if I remember,
Yeah,
and in other parts of the state, the country, the world. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Kind of outline that, if you would, for our audience who doesn't want to go back and watch that full June 23rd podcast.
I find that hard to believe.
I know. I encourage everybody to do so.
Well, co-working is a model that people may or may not be familiar with. If you've ever heard of WeWork, that's their model. So instead of working at home and, getting distracted by the dog and the washing machine and the kids and whoever else is there, you come into a shared office space where you have that same sort of work community feeling, where you hey, how was your weekend? What's going on? Let's, the water cooler conversations, if you will, that we used to have when we all went to work every day. And that's the model for the co-working piece of it. And then what I have in Tingsboro is individual office spaces. So, smaller entrepreneurs who just need a full office for all their work stuff. They rent a monthly space there. So there's a drop-in, which is the co-working, and then there's I think of it as like, if you need a model to understand it, it's like a business incubator, right? It's a place where you go when you're little, and then you get heated up and you turn into a chicken, and then you can go someplace else.
and for folks who might be wondering, saying that business model will never work, it's worked enough where you have your lender in place. Your lender has obviously looked at this, your pro formas, your financial projections, whatever, and said, yeah, this will work to the level where we'll give you more money than
you want, yeah.
than you need.
And it's also,
Less than 10%? Did I?
it's also working in the reverse. McKellar's company, Green Energy Consumer Alliance, is leaving their fixed rent office space and going to a WeWork space.
Yeah.
So it's going in reverse as well, because people found that, we don't need this big rent here. We can go to this shared space and get what we need.
Right, the post-COVID
Yeah.
commercial world
Exactly.
has completely changed.
Yep, it has.
Are they going to come to Lowell? Are they going to locate? Is that where they're going to move to?
I'm pushing it.
You're, well, you gotta have some. They have skin in the game, right? So let's get them here in Lowell. All right, this is exciting stuff. Anything else you want to reveal that we before we start talking about the fundraiser on tomorrow night or Wednesday? No, Thursday night. I apologize.
So I guess I just want to bring people, like when people think about the 600-seat performance venue, they're thinking, oh, okay, we'll get some bands like we do over at the arena, and and we'll get some whatever. But it's an art center, so think about all the different things you can do there, right? Film festivals. I talked to a person who does a similar space in New York, and they had a quilting festival, right? So they had quilters come in from, I don't know, North Carolina or something, and they had a big giant quilting thing, a book what do you call it? Book fair? Yeah, like things like that. So we're not just having bands there, right? There's just all sorts of things that are going to be happening there. And our model, desires and requires that we have this space active as much as possible. So if nothing's happening there, Right. I mean, already the Lowell Philharmonic, some dance people, lots of folks have talked to us about, hey, when's your space coming online? When can we use it? So this gives us a lot of confidence that there is actually a need, despite the many great venues that we have in Lowell.
And it's got great acoustics, especially for just single oratory acoustics. A TEDx option, maybe some people who are familiar with TED Talks. It's a great speaking space. Yeah. So,
Which brings us to another
was
big reveal.
perfect. What a segue, Dennis.
Love it. You guys are
We just found out that Frederick Douglass actually did one of his final speeches before he passed away at the Smith-Baker Center.
Oh, get out.
So he, about 4 months before he passed away, he was on a tour speaking and stopped at Smith-Baker. I think it was his second to last speech. One of our board members, 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 𝐏𝐿𝐿, was able to find a 12-page copy of the speech and everything he said. And Cameron and Brad McGowan have been connecting with a historian down in Virginia that's been working on a history of Frederick Douglass and connecting with him about that as well. So that's somebody that brought it to our attention, and then we were able to verify that. So another huge piece of history that we can leverage, moving forward and celebrate.
So if everything goes well and you dot all your I's, cross all your T's, you hope within a week or so and get it in front of the Lowell City Council for the land disposition agreement. Hopefully then you can do your due diligence and start, whether you start work, securing that roof and whatnot in December, or whether you have to wait till the spring. You have 6 months, which gives you enough time to do all that. What's your time frame? Has the time frame changed for when, if everything goes as planned, this thing is purchased, remodeled, repurposed, and then we'll have a ribbon cutting and open?
So we've got the base space, which is where the shared kitchen and the co-working and the restaurant bar, that should be a year. That's Dennis said a year, but
so it'll open in phases.
Phases, and then the rest of it, where it's the bigger space, and there's a lot more ADA compliance and stuff that has to happen there. So that's 5 years. Right?
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with elevator companies.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. Right.
So there's a driver there. I mean, we've got a 4 or 5 stop elevator that we have to build in the space. So that's why it's phased, because we can't move fast enough with the pieces that we have. So it'll probably be lagging behind that first floor space.
I would guess that elevator and probably 21st century fire suppression systems, probably the 2 most expensive line items in your budget.
HVAC in general is too.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Yes, there was no AC in the Smith-Baker.
And now there's no heating either, I think. Right?
So, but you've hoped that first floor, when you first walk in, the community kitchen component can be open within a year.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'd like to get moving and show the city that we're ready to give back and open up to the public and be an active piece of the community right away. We don't want it to sit for another 5 years before we have this grand opening and it be empty. We want to have people in it and people experiencing the space while we're finishing it.
Why not?
And that's also the revenues.
Yeah.
Once the revenue starts flowing.
So why the hell do we need this fundraiser Thursday? Let's cancel. You got everything in place. Let's roll. Just kidding. You do have a fundraiser planned Thursday. You still need to do some work. Tell us a little bit about what's coming up and what folks can, how folks can help.
You want to talk to that?
Sure. Yeah, so we're hosting our fundraiser called Blueprints in Motion. It's our first fundraiser really in person to get people in the community together to talk about the project. We are hosting at the Worthen House Cafe. So it's this Thursday, the 23rd, from 7 to 9. We are
great location, by the way. The Worthen House, a sponsor of InsideLowell.
Yep, and a huge supporter of ours too. Yes. Penny has been a huge supporter of ours from the beginning. Wrote us a really great letter of support when we submitted our RFP response to the city, and so we're going to be auctioning off some original art by Janet Lambert Moore. We had a painting commissioned of the Smith-Baker Center that we're going to be auctioning off in a live auction, and then we have a bunch of other stuff that's been donated, from lottery raffle scratch ticket baskets to wine baskets, and a couple other pieces of original art that we'll be auctioning off as well. But it should be a really great time. If people are interested in buying tickets, it's lcalowell.org/blueprints. is where you can get tickets.
All right, you're calling the event Blueprints. Will there actually be some blueprints being displayed or some artists' renditions of what the finished product will look like? Have you gone that far down the
A lot of
path?
the final plans and renditions are still in the works. We have a few things to show, and we'll really be discussing and talking a lot about the project, kind of talking through what the vision is and how those blueprints are going to come to life.
And have you saved any reveals that you didn't just do today? Have you saved anything so folks can learn more on Thursday night?
There's always more.
Always leave them wanting more.
Yeah.
Chris is the business behind this. I can tell. So, all right, Thursday night at the Worthen House.
You got it, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. And if anybody is anybody's inspired by the story, I'm inspired by how far you guys have come. I honestly, before June, I would have thought, you were just spinning your wheels. I started to get a little optimistic, but there was some skepticism there. But the fact that you've been able to get this budgeted in a way that's not insane, even though it was before COVID, we were told it was $20+ million, right? So that's an amazing strategic development there. How can business folks still get involved and come forward and help out, and maybe get some early line on the bidding to name certain things, stages, hallways, whatnot? How do they do so?
Yeah, they can go to lcalowell.org.
LCA for Lowell Center.
Yep. Yep. lcalowell.org, and there's a contact form they can get in touch. We have naming rights packages ready to go. We have the whole team ready to get back to anybody that's reaching out. We get actually a ton of inquiries daily as things pick up, of people reaching out through our website, making donations. There's a link to our donation page there that you can keep track of progress. You could start your own little campaign if you like. Through our GiveButter platform, you're able to start your own fundraiser in support of the LCA. So lots of ways to do it, but all through that website.
All right. And not on tonight's city council agenda. Potentially next week, though. They meet next Tuesday.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
You don't want to. The following one is November 4th, the election. So that one could be dicey.
Yeah.
So all right. So this could start to unfold very quickly.
Yes, and we're hoping it will.
All right. Yeah. So I don't want to congratulate you because I don't want to jinx you, but incredible progress. Quite the update for July, August, September. Almost 4 months since your visit, but that's some incredible progress and great news that you actually have a lender in place.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Dennis McCarthy, Chris McCarron, Owen Kelly. Thank you so much for coming in here today. Thanks for sharing some great news for our audience out there and for our community.
And
more importantly,
we hope to be back soon.
Let's roll. I need the name of that lender. As soon as I say goodbye and hit stop record, we're going to talk. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks to the Lowell Center for the Arts crew for joining us here today. Truly some great news for the doubters out there. I'm going to guess there's going to be fewer of them as we go along now. But we also want to thank you for tuning in as well here to the Daily Pulse, the show that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about the elections. Will Rosenberry, Director of Elections for the City of Lowell, will be joining us. The timetable is here. Early voting is going to kind of kick off this weekend. Mail-in voting is going on. But everything you need to know about voting in Lowell's preliminary election, we'll talk tomorrow. Plus, everything you need to know to vote in the special election for the 1st Middlesex State Senate District. That calendar was released yesterday. We'll talk about it with Will and how it applies here in Lowell as well. On Thursday, we're going to bring you a debate, a Lowell City Council debate. District 4, Wayne Jeunesse, the incumbent against Sean McDonough, the challenger. We're going to actually record that on Wednesday night, and we'll bring it to you on Thursday as part of the Daily Pulse. We've already booked the debate next week between Marcos Candido and the incumbent John Dakota in the 8th District, and we're trying to finalize one in the 7th District as well. Paul Ratayem and Sidney Liang. Sherry Barbosa has not agreed to come on with us yet. She's not replying. Kim Scott had said she would do the debate. Hopefully we'll get those two together for you as well, and then we'll see if we can get Belinda Duran and Dan Finn in here as well. So lots coming up here on the Daily Pulse in the coming weeks. Till next time, everybody stay safe. Enjoy this pretty beautiful fall day out here on October 21st, and I'll see you on the other side.